Hey y'all, shooting this shit, Chef Sarah. Today we are going to cook Asian carp. Local freshwater fish, absolutely delicious. Let's get to it. All right, so what we've got, I've got a piece of Asian carp here. So these portions come into us prepared. It's a really bony fish. It takes a lot of work to get the bones out. So we have a lady over at Fin Gourmet, Lula, not my daughter, but the lady at Fin Gourmet, Lula. She prepares this fish for us. So we have one fisherman, Marcus Mann, who catches, and we have one lady who does all the pin boning, and then it comes to Freight House prepared, ready to go, fresh every day. So I like to start with the fish. This is the side we're gonna sear first. So this would have been the side where the skin was. This would have been the side that's closest to the bone. So the piece that's closest to the bone is gonna be your presentation side. A lot smoother, less bloodline, less of the sinewy stuff, so you're really gonna see it. I also think I should mention that I like this fish cooked done all the way through, just because I think that the texture of it is much better. So when it's medium rare or medium, it can be a little tough. So you're gonna cook it until it doesn't bite back, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're gonna start with a little bit of oil. This is a black, what we call a black still in the industry. So it's not really cast iron. When you get them, they're silver. So they have like a nice silver color to them. As you cook in them, they get seasoned just like a cast iron. And so what we're doing here is, again, we're looking for that ripple. So right when you're cooking fish, one thing important to do is you wanna see a little bit of smoke. So I flipped it over so the surface is really nice and dry. Don't sear your fish till you're ready to go. Season high, we've talked about that in some videos before. You don't wanna season really close because you're gonna get this super concentration of salt. Let's season the back side now. Another really good trick when you're cooking fish is if you put it in the pan and it catches, like sometimes you'll put the fish in there and when you try to drag it across, it'll stick to it. That means it's not hot enough. So if your fish sticks, don't put it in the pan. Let it get a little bit hotter. Another thing you wanna do when you put fish in the pan is right here in the middle. So if you can imagine this is a piece of fish, you put it in the pan and it immediately goes whoop, and it tightens up. I mean, that's what heat does. Heat causes things like this to tighten up. So you end up with this little air pocket right in the middle. So you want to take your hands or your spoon and push that air pocket out. So you know that the whole entire surface of the fish is making contact with the pan. Check our heat. We're on about like medium high. If you cook it too high, you're gonna get a lot of burnt edges, but we want it to be really nice and golden brown. So while that's cooking, we're gonna cook it about 75% of the way on one side. I've got a little asparagus vichyssoise over here. Ew, it popped and got me. So, asparagus, potatoes, leeks, cream, a little vegetable stock. So that's gonna go over here. We're gonna start that heat up. Ooh, hello. All right, so let's take a look and see how this fish is doing. This is my favorite tool to cook fish with, or a lot of proteins. You really give you a lot of control. So you can see the fish is in here, so it's not really brown yet. We're gonna let it just keep going, make sure we push it back down. I like a good sized piece of fish. A fish at the Freight House, a portion is anywhere from like 7 to 9 ounces. It's crazy in the rest of the world. But I want Asian carp to be accessible. A lot of people think that this is an invasive species. I don't consider it an invasive species. The waterways that they're talking about that it was invasive, they were only created back in like the 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, we're talking about Kentucky Lake, Barkley Lake. This fish has been around since the 70s, so it was there in the beginning, but it fights with the game fishing, and so people don't like it. So let's see how we're looking so far. So you can see we're starting to get some nice caramelization. Let's let it go a little bit longer. Starting to get a little bit of bubbling over here on our vichyssoise. We just want this to be warm. We don't need it to be ripping hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some potatoes in here. These are just some little new potatoes, first of the season. They've already been poached to where they're fork tender. So when it comes time to flip the fish, turn your pan this way so all the oil runs over here. And then when you flip, you're gonna go this way so that you don't have to worry about the oil splashing back on you. Then you can let your pan go. So what we've done is we've cooked it about, I said 75. We probably went about 60% of the way on one side. We've turned it over. Now we're going to add a significant amount of butter. Don't fuck around with the butter, okay? Put some butter in there. Be serious. It's no need to be scared. We're gonna add some garlic. I like to make sure and smash the garlic with my hand. It's also a fun trick to ask cooks, like, oh my God, you smashed so much garlic, does your palms stink? And then they go here and you slap their hand in their face. I always like that one. And this is some fresh English thyme. Ew! Some fresh English thyme from one of our purveyors, who's also one of our well-loved delivery guys. Todd, thank you so much. So you'll hear that pop. Don't be afraid, there's liquid in there. Now I'm gonna tilt the pan this way so that I start to get all of this, and I'm gonna start to baste my fish. Make sure that thyme is in there, so we're getting this like garlic, thyme infused fish. We're just gonna keep on cooking. Now at this point, we want our heat pretty low, so as low as you can, and pretty low. And what it's just doing now is it's basting through the back. So it's basting, it's slow poaching. So we've cooked almost the whole top of it, and then we're slow poaching the rest of it in this butter, garlic, thyme. It's yummy. Let's give these potatoes a little flippy so they can get warm on the other side. A lot of times I like to take my thyme and garlic and put it right there on top of the fish and then baste. And what you're looking for here is brown butter, frothy butter. You don't want it to be not frothing. If it's not frothy, you're just cooking with black butter and it's not good. But as you cook this, moisture comes out of the fish or the potatoes, whatever you're basting, and it continues to have this brown frothiness, and that's gonna give it this really nutty, delicious flavor. So, we're close. I'm gonna throw a little asparagus in the side over here. So I have turned the heat off of this fish. It's now just sitting and chilling, and I wanna check and see if it's done. So I've got my trusty wall hanger. So I'm gonna go in the way that the fish swims. So if you can imagine that the head of the fish is here and the tail is here, and we've cut portions this way, we wanna go in, so head's here, tail's here, portion is like a nice piece off a fillet. We wanna go in this way, so the way that the fish swims. And what you're doing here is you're checking to see if you can feel any resistance. If you stick a cake tester or a paper clip or a wall hanger, which I'm using today, if you stick that in and you feel resistance, the fish is not done. The sinew hasn't broken down in between all of the different pieces of muscle, so you wanna make sure that happens. What you don't wanna see is you don't wanna see albumin. Albumin is the white stuff. Sometimes you'll get a piece of fish and there'll be all this white stuff, what we say pissing out of the side, or white stuff is coming out of the side. That's the albumin, that means it's overcooked. All right, so we're gonna start with some of our asparagus vichyssoise. Down nice like this. All right, so asparagus vichyssoise. Then we're gonna hit this with a little bit of lemon juice. Not only is that gonna season it, but it's gonna stop all the butter from browning anymore. I'm gonna go fish down right here. We're gonna have some potatoes down. Let's actually give those potatoes a little bit of seasoning and that asparagus. So let's do potatoes down here. I'm gonna go asparagus right across the top. I think maybe I cooked too many potatoes. Potatoes, it's how my husband says it. It's so weird. Potatoes. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of this brown butter here. Can you see the little brown flecks? Especially you can see them left on my spoon. That is the most delicious part of brown butter. So really tip your pan to the side and get a lot of that stuff, and you can see those little flecks. They are super nutty and super packed. That is the milk solids that have caramelized. We're gonna go down, go a little bit of this right around here like that. Over here, I've got just a little bit of pickled shallot, just a little bit of acid, a little bit of preserved green garlic. We just slow cook green garlic in olive oil with tons of lemon peel. So there's some acid in there, there's some fat. And then I just took an asparagus and I just put it with the peeler and peeled it really nice and thin. I love to taste asparagus a couple different ways. So roasted in brown butter, and then I'm also gonna have it raw. So what we've got is Asian carp with asparagus vichyssoise. So everything that's in the soup in the bottom, we have duplicated on top. So the potatoes, the asparagus, the shallot, the onion flavor with the garlic, all of that is done. So if it's on the bottom, it's on the top, you know what you're eating, and what you're eating is really delicious, fresh, local fish that is vitally important to the economy of this area. So I hope y'all enjoy. Thanks, y'all. How meaty it is. It's like different than any other fish you'd be used to. Soup. It's so meaty.